let's talk about intake forms and systems for bringing volunteers on board. Our goal is to create systems that make it really easy for you to bring new volunteers from the inquiry stage to the onboarding stage where they become volunteers with you. So we want to start with what happens when potential volunteers contact you. And you want to sort of audit your communication methods so that you have an idea of what happens when someone emails or calls you directly. If they call your organization's main line, whether that's the Chamber of Commerce main line, whether that's the city's main line, how does that information, and they express interest in becoming a volunteer, how does that information make its way to you? If they email like info@mainstreet.org, how does that information get to you? If they use an online form, who do these messages go to if not to you directly? How long does it take to get there? And then how long does it take for you to reply? If somebody sends a message that says, I'd like to be a Main Street volunteer, does that feel like an overwhelming inquiry to reply to, or is it really easy for you to do? So in the toolkit is a template for an inquiry reply that can make it really easy once folks say, I'm interested, for you to just reply and provide the information that they would need to decide if they want to take the next step and say, yeah, sign me up, or submit an application, whatever the next step is. And that's what you need to figure out, is what is the next step? When someone raises their hand electronically or by picking up the phone and says, I want to volunteer, what is the next step? How do they find out what opportunities are available? So how do you share your volunteer position descriptions with them? Do you have a volunteer application process? And again, there's going to be a sample or a template for a volunteer application in the toolkit. Do you have a volunteer orientation that you invite them to attend, that you host on a regular basis? And we'll talk more about that later in the toolkit. Or do you immediately say, can you just come in tomorrow at 9 a.m.? Which sometimes can be fine, but our goal is to have a slightly more sophisticated and deliberate onboarding approach. In this section of the toolkit, you'll find a sample volunteer application. This is a simple application, just one page that you can certainly edit to make longer or shorter to collect different information than what is suggested. It is created in Microsoft Word in a table with fillable fields, but the editing is not restricted, so you're able to edit the full form, and in the developer ribbon you can restrict editing if you want to send this as a fillable form electronically. Otherwise, you can simply use it as a document that you can update by editing text, adding rows, splitting or merging cells, etc. You'll also find a sample inquiry reply for when new volunteers inquire and say, I'd like to volunteer. This is some suggested text for you to reply by email to give them some overview information about your organization, about the next steps, how they learn about opportunities, and how to take action if they want to submit an application or sign up. So there are areas for you to fill in with information specific to your Main Street program, but some suggested text that once you customize it, you can copy and paste into an email draft and save several copies in your draft folder so that you can really easily just send those emails off to folks as they inquire about volunteer opportunities. Next, we have a sample waiver of liability and photo release. This is based on a waiver that Central City Main Street uses. So you should probably run this text by your legal department if you have one, if you want to think about using this for your program, and then customize it, of course, for your community. And finally, from LPI, Lamar Partnership, Inc., the Main Street program in Lamar, you have a sample of a board commitment form that does a really nice job of laying out not only the volunteer's commitment to the organization, but also the commitment the organization is making to its volunteers.